We got to talk about the news real quick. We don't always talk about the news. There's some legal news we have to talk about because it's July. And if any of you have ever sat for the bar exam, you know exactly the trauma of July. When I started seeing this story yesterday, I had a type of vicarious trauma that I have not experienced in a very long time because the bar exam is such a singularly memorable, difficult, and wild experience that as I started seeing the story out of Washington State, remember, I did start law school at Seattle University. When I started seeing this come down, my response was first, I was aghast. And second, I was like, oh my God, those poor bar takers. Those poor bar takers. You can compare it in any big moment in your life where you are geared up for the thing you need to do. You are in the right headspace. You are tapered. You are ready to go. You have studied. You have done everything. And then you get into your massive fucking testing center in like a convention center. And then you wait. And you wait. And you wait. For 6 hours, bar takers in Washington had to wait. And then they fucking canceled it. They canceled the July bar exam. Well, they sent them home for the day. So they got a very restless night of, are we taking the bar exam tomorrow? And then they canceled it the next day. Let's take a look at what the Washington State Bar Association said on their website, shall we? July bar exam canceled. The Washington State Bar Association was unable to begin day one of the July 2026 bar exam today for applicants testing at the Yakima Convention and Event Center due to a technology issue. The venue, Yakima Convention and Event Center, has released its own statement addressing the cause of today's disruption. We refer specific technical questions directly to the venue. We do not have sufficient confidence that the technology issue has been resolved to safely resume the exam tomorrow, July 29th. We have made the decision not to continue. We sincerely apologize to the candidates who worked so hard to prepare, and we deeply regret that we could not deliver a successful exam experience today. I don't even know what to do with that. We will be working to schedule a makeup exam in late summer, early fall 2026. Okay. Affected applicants are also being offered the option to transfer to the February 2027 exam or receive a full refund. A full refund of what? The fee to take the bar exam? Because that's not a refund of your bar study loan if you took one, your bar prep class that everyone pays for, your hotel and travel to the bar, and all the rest of it. People come from out of state to take bar exams in the state where they're going to live and work. Also, not everyone lives near the Yakima Convention Center. So bar takers from all over the state will travel to a testing location to take the exam. You realize that they have to take the bar to be lawyers, right? Like after 3 years or 4 years of law school, and I don't think I know anyone that went to law school without loans. So some amount of student loans. What you can't do is just be like, we could just refund you. You could just like not take the bar. All applicants testing with approved accommodations will be able to proceed with their exams as scheduled and were not impacted. There's the win. Everyone who had testing accommodations didn't have the impact of whatever happened at the convention center. So accommodations for the win. You're going to be the only ones that got to take the bar exam in the entire state of Washington, which is crazy. All registered applicants have been notified by email and through the online admissions portal. We are working closely with the Washington Supreme Court to consider any additional next steps. Let's take a look at a few other articles about the Washington bar exam being canceled, because this is just A, litigation fuel, but B, nightmare fuel. And I am sure there will be more than a few bar takers who are just like, I mean, can we all grab a whiskey and try to issue spot what the lawsuits look like? Are we suing for intentional infliction of emotional distress or negligent infliction of emotional distress? What tort is this? When we signed up for the bar exam, what rights did we sign away? And then for the bar exam, what testing software are you using? And is that the problem? Washington State Bar cancels July exam over Wi-Fi problems. The July 2026 administration of the Washington State Bar exam was canceled Tuesday after network bandwidth issues prevented test takers from accessing the new exam on the first day of testing. Why is your test Wi-Fi based? First of all, and couldn't you have foreseen this? Also, not having a paper backup is fucking horrifying. The Chief Regulatory Counsel of Washington State Bar Association said in an email to test takers that, quote, "We do not have sufficient confidence that the technology issues have been resolved in order to push the exam to Wednesday." I would have been like, figure it out. We'll take it Wednesday and Thursday. What do you mean there's no backups? The email said that the Washington State Bar Examiners is working with the test maker, the National Conference of Bar Examiners, to hold a makeup test on September 1st. So what are they supposed to do? Just study more or just retain all the information in your brain? The amount of people who are going to have like full just stress crashes because of this and just be laid out for a couple of weeks with the full adrenaline dump is also awful. They go on to say that the National Conference of Bar Examiners, which oversaw the first ever administration of its NextGen uniform bar exam. Oh, goody. So not only did you graduate from law school, but now you get to be a guinea pig on the first ever administration of a brand new bar exam. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. What could possibly go wrong? The National Conference of Bar Examiners, which oversaw first ever administration of its NextGen uniform bar exam across 10 jurisdictions on Tuesday, said in a statement that the test takers in Missouri also saw delayed start times, and one testing site in Maryland also saw a short delay. We're going to go to another article about it. Washington just called off its entire bar exam. 6 hours of tech troubles, no questions answered, and a class of grads told to put their lives on hold until September. I don't want to say I'm Cassandra, but when we flagged yesterday that with the bar exam here, something was about to go horribly wrong, it wasn't exactly a bold call. Something goes wrong every year. The only no. This has gotten substantially worse since the late 2000s. In the early and mid 2000s, things were going wrong, like a bar examiner had all of the booklets in the back of their vehicle and their vehicle was stolen and all those bar exams were just like gone. Those were the types of issues that they were having. These types of large scale issues were not happening until we rolled out, it seems like, only online available bar exam testing. All right. The only questions were how and how badly. Washington answered both on Tuesday. The state's debut of the NextGen uniform bar exam, the first ever operational administration of the NCBE's big skills-based reinvention of attorney licensing, didn't just go badly, it just didn't happen. Great. It just didn't happen, like at all. After roughly 6 hours of starting, stopping, and staring at Wi-Fi that never worked, the examinees gathered at the Yakima Convention Center were sent home Tuesday afternoon without answering a single question. By Tuesday evening, the Washington State Bar had canceled the whole thing, Wednesday's second day included, because it no longer trusted the technology to work. I love how Above the Law has broken this down. Here's how the not a test unfolded according to ATL tipsters and Reddit posters who lived through it. I'm glad that you parsed it instead of me. The crux of the problem apparently was 600 plus people in one room trying to get on the same network at the same time, each on their own laptop, to take an exam that runs entirely through the NCBE's software. The 8:30 start time came and went. Employees sat while staff, quote, worked on the internet for hours. By around 11:30, roughly a third of the room had connectivity and the rest didn't. At which point the plan became, start the exam for the people who could get on. The room booed. Right. If they start on time and then the others don't start on time, what's going to happen when they finally get to start? And are you then allowed to ask questions about what's happening with the Wi-Fi while other people are taking their exam? That's terrible. But I love that the room booed. The Washington State Bar General Counsel, by all accounts, the one person on site doing her best, relaying updates over a microphone as she got them, called the company and secured everyone lunch and a 12:45 restart instead. Dude, that's a W. The next paragraph starts with, chat. This is not me. I'm reading the article verbatim. Chat. The internet did not fix itself over lunch. Organizers tried again anyway. For the lucky few with connection, the NCBE app crashed or failed to load for most of them. That's fantastic. And the head proctor's internet went out. No one ever actually started the bar exam. Examinees described people crying and throwing up in the convention center. In the moment they were told they could take a refund or come back in February, which is not what test takers who have spent the better part of 2 months cramming for an exam want to hear. Yes. At that point, I might have stood on a table and gone like, I don't know, full like William Wallace.
Go back to England and tell them there that Scotland's daughters and her sons are yours no more. Tell them Scotland is free. Burn it.
Also, I imagine that there were law schools that were like internally torn about how they responded, because you do have representatives from the bar there who do still have to allow you to become members of the bar, and you still do have to pass all the like professional responsibility and ethics portions of the bar and the background check. And so if you're the one person that starts flipping tables, deciding to riot, even if you do pass the bar exam, they might still not pass you on like the moral turpitude because you started a riot, even though it would be absolutely justified. So I imagine there were many sitting there going, how can I even respond in this moment? Finally, they were sent home with word that testing would resume the next day and continue to Thursday. Many already scrambling to extend hotels in a city a long drive from Seattle, where 2 of the state's 3 law schools sit with ruined flights and no representation that anyone would be reimbursed for any of it. Then it turned out that there would be no next day at all. But I'm getting ahead of myself, the author says, because to hear the NCBE's, the folks that designed the exam, version of events, this was not but a blip on the radar. According to their statement, today was a historic milestone in legal licensure, with the inaugural administration of the NextGen uniform bar examination, and the NextGen testing platform performed as expected throughout today's administration. Most applicants successfully completed day 1 testing as scheduled, and the overwhelming majority of testing locations across participating jurisdiction administered the examination without incident. As for what went down in the Evergreen State, it said this, tidily pointing the finger. Washington. Most standard time applicants were impacted by site-specific network bandwidth issues. After extensive efforts by local testing staff and the convention center technical support, the jurisdiction determined that the bandwidth issues could not be resolved in time to complete today's administration, and applicants were dismissed for the day. The jurisdiction is evaluating next steps, including whether testing can resume tomorrow or whether affected applicants will instead be offered an opportunity to sit for a future administration. They go on to say Washington did evaluate next steps, and in an email from the Washington State Bar, To the applicants available in full below, they call the entire July bar administration off. With deep regret, the email begins. Washington's July 2026 administration was canceled. There would be no attempt on Wednesday because the association did not have sufficient confidence that the technology issues have been resolved. And then came the word that the NCBE never managed. We sincerely apologize. Let me get this straight. The test takers sat through 6 hours of technical delays. Then were told the exam would continue Wednesday and Thursday, then scrambled to make arrangements for Wednesday and Thursday, and then got an email saying, "It's with deepest regret that we will not be proceeding with the bar exam in July. Thank you so much. We sincerely apologize. Bye-bye." What? An email? An email. And you know what? No one is going to get reimbursement for the cell phones that were broken by hurling them across the room. Applicants were handed 3 options with a decision due by August 14th. Oh, and there's a fucking deadline. They can sit for a makeup exam that's not yet scheduled. Tentatively September 1st and 2nd in Tacoma, not Yakima. Right, because people are going to walk into the Yakima testing center and vomit immediately from the stress. They can transfer their application to February 2027, also in Tacoma, or they can withdraw entirely for a full refund of their application and examination fees. Though the NCBE's separate technology fee is a conversation applicants will have to have with the NCBE themselves. We can refund you for your testing application fees and your exam fees, but not all of your exam fees because there's a technology fee that goes directly to the company that administers the exam, only on Wi-Fi, that didn't have a backup plan. So you're going to have to take that part up with them. Are you fucking joking? And then what do? Just not become lawyers? Each one of those options, and this is continuing back to the article, each one of those options shares a feature. Each one bills the applicant for a failure the applicant did not cause. More travel, more hotel nights, more weeks of unpaid limbo, or withdraw, which seems like a non-starter for people who, went to practice law in the state. The author says the shittiness of the options was highlighted by a rightfully irate ATL tipster, and ATL is above the law. I love the way this is written. This is probably one of my favorite things that I've read for a news piece in a minute. Career disruptions. Many applicants have firm start dates, judicial clerkships, or financial obligations in August that depend on completing the bar in July. Pushing the exam into September destroys start dates and prolongs unpaid study periods. Uncompensated financial losses. Applicants spent significant money to travel, hotels, travel arrangements for Yakima, costs that are not being reimbursed. Mental and physical toll. Or otherwise stated, emotional damage. Months of rigorous preparation were derailed by 5 hours of waiting in a hot, crowded convention center with 0 answers, only to be told to hold their lives on pause for another 5 weeks. Of course, they say, there is a 4th option that the Washington State Bar did not list, and the Washington Supreme Court knows it well. In June 2020, with the pandemic turning in-person testing into a public health gamble, the court granted emergency diploma privilege to graduates of ABA-accredited law schools, admitting them to the profession without an exam at all. Grads who want a portable UBE score could still sit for a later administration. Everyone else got to start their careers. The sky did not fall. The state went back to the exam the very next cycle anyway, and if there were ever a moment to renew the call for it, a licensing failure so complete that the jurisdiction scrapped its own exam and apologized for the technology it was built on, a class of grads who showed up, did everything right, and were sent home without a test would seem to be it. I don't disagree. Pass them all and let them take the UBE. The author goes on to say, but as regular above the law readers know too well, tech failures at the bar exam aren't new. California turned a bar exam into a genre unto itself last year. Login failures crashes, lost submissions, refunds handed out in desperation. The bitter irony writes itself. California's meltdown is a bigger part of what pushed states back towards NCBE and the NextGen exam in the first place. The NextGen exam has been in development since 2018, 8 years, and debuted like the exam soft catastrophe of 2014, the original bar exam IT nightmare story that never happened. What is new, however, is calling a mulligan on the entire exam before anyone got a chance to answer any question. This was written by Catherine Rubinow, senior editor at Above the Law and host of the Jab It podcast and co-host of Thinking Like a Lawyer. Great article. W for Catherine. I don't know if it is just a cruel commentary on the profession of law that when there is a catastrophic failure, somehow all of the shit rolls downhill onto the newest lawyers. And it's like, hey, none of this is your problem, but you're going to suffer the consequences of everyone else's decisions. Welcome to being a lawyer. Or if it is just some kind of, I don't know, cruel test of resilience. But either way, I feel so deeply for these bar examiners and the stress that they must have gone through. It's absolutely horrible. This is the email they got at 4:53 p.m. The subject line is exam canceled, makeup available. Can you imagine? Dear applicant, yes, I'm going to read the whole thing. With deep regret, I write to inform you that Washington's July 2026 administration of the NextGen bar exam has been canceled. We will not continue tomorrow, Wednesday, July 29th. They left being told they were going to continue and then tried to rearrange everything. And then by almost 5 p.m., we're told, just kidding. We do not have sufficient confidence that the technology issues have been resolved to attempt administration of the exam tomorrow. We sincerely apologize. The WSBA has been investigating and researching options for applicants. While we continue to explore other alternatives, we have 3 options at this time. Take a makeup exam. The WSBA is working with the NCBE to schedule a makeup exam. It is tentatively scheduled for September 1st and 2nd in Tacoma, Washington. No additional fees will be required to be paid to the WSBA. Oh, hold on there. First of all, you have to travel to another bar exam. That all aside, they didn't say that no additional fees would have to be paid to the NCBE. They didn't say there that you're not going to have to pay another technology fee. Notice what's left out? Continuing on. Transfer your application to the February 2027 administration in Tacoma, Washington. No additional fees will be required to be paid to the WSBA. Withdraw your application. The WSBA will issue a full refund of the WSBA application fee and exam fee. Applicants will need to contact NCBE regarding the technology fee. Please inform us of your decision by email by August 14th, 2026. We understand how hard, Jesus Christ, it gets worse. Hold on. We understand how hard you have worked to get to this day and deeply regret we could not give you a successful exam experience. We will be working closely with the Washington Supreme Court to consider any additional next steps. As always, please contact with any questions, email address, and phone number. Sincerely, it doesn't fucking matter who sincerely signed it. I feel for the bar takers. I'm curious to see what's going to come from this. I am going to follow the fallout because I'm curious. I saw this headline and I was like, tell me more. Then when I saw that it was Wi-Fi related, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Absolutely shocking that this wasn't planned for. It's not shocking that it went awry. It's shocking that there was no backup plan. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss updates on your favorite cases, you're going to need the Law Nerd app at lawnerdapp.com. That way you can stay in the loop on the cases that matter most to you, and you never know when you're going to catch feelings for a new case. So make sure you get it for free on iOS and Android. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd.